What's up, everyone? Belligerent here with another Bloodline video, and it's time for another tier list. Actually, I was considering making another tier list. I wasn't sure if I was going to, but then I was asked to participate in the tier list from the Discord people. They're getting ready to release a tier list channel, and they wanted me to participate in it, so we're going to participate in it with them. It's slightly earlier than I planned on coming out with the version 2, but it is also time because enough of my opinions have changed on some of the champions that a version 2, it's time for version 2. So before we jump into this, let me clarify a few things about the way that I do my tier lists, okay? First of all, we do them based on the position they're assigned from the game. That's how we do it, okay? Second of all, in my mind, a properly done tier list, the majority of the champions are going to be in the middle category, okay? So if you're using S, A, B, C, D, then B is the middle tier, okay? So that's where most of the champions in my tier list should end up in the B tier if I do it correctly. It should not end up with the majority of them in the S tier or the majority of them in the D tier, because that's not average. Okay? Average means average, where most champions are, and then there are some that are worse than average, and there are some that are above average. Okay? The other thing to understand is that tier lists are only a topic of discussion. That's all they are. I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong. I'm not saying other tier lists are right or wrong. Tier lists have no other purpose than to spark debate and possibly be a guide to newer players about which champions they should try. Okay? Finally, understand that if a champion you like is in a lower tier, it's not an insult on you. I just don't like that champion. And it also doesn't mean your champion is bad, because I hear from a lot of people, well, I use this champion and they got me this far and they're a beast. See, a tier list isn't about how far you can get with a champion. I can probably make any champion in the game work and be functional if you find the right comp. A tier list is about which champions offer more. So yes, your champion might have one ability that, does a bunch of damage, but there are other champions that also do a bunch of damage and something else, so that elevates them in the tier. Okay, finally, if you watch my videos, you know I'm long-winded. There's a lot of champions. I'm going to give an explanation for my thoughts on each champion. Do not expect less than a minute for every champion. So this is going to be a long video, so buckle up. If you don't want to watch a long video, then don't watch the video. That's all I can say. I am going to give my thoughts, because to me there's no point in a tier list or a video on a tier list if I'm not going to share with you what my thoughts are on the champion and why they're in that tier. Otherwise, I may as well just put out an image of my tier list and let you take it and do whatever you want with it. So if you want that, I'm sure it'll be posted in the new Discord channel that I'm doing this for. But if you're watching the video, you're watching it to get my thoughts. All right. That being said, how about we get started? All right, here we go. Let's start this tier list. Let's piss a lot of you guys off, because that's all tier lists are good for. Let's jump into this. Also, I apologize ahead of time. I record all of my videos on my phone, and this is not going to fit in the phone screen very well, but hopefully you'll get the gist of it. All right, first up, the female Dark Elf Archer, Elzdith. I don't know how to pronounce it. That's why I call it the Dark Elf Archer. All right, she's just she's C tier. She has apparently the attack speed decrease, but when I think Marksman, I think somebody that is designed to just blow up a single target. they're supposed to be like DPS. There's one exception, and I think that one exception is really good at what they do. But in this case, I don't feel any kind of impact from attack slows. I don't know, like she just feels very underwhelming whenever I've tried to use her. All right, second one, female luxuriant. If you remember, if you watched my first video, I had her rated very high. My feelings on her have changed a little bit. I think she's just kind of average. The charm is strong, but I don't think it's strong until you're probably super end game, where you can actually get a good decent amount of time on that charm. And otherwise, she's underwhelming, and I find myself like I want the charm, but I can't afford the slot on the board for the little amount of output that she gives just for the charm. All right, moving on. The female Zeiss, Elven Mage, whatever you want to call this class. In my last tier list, I got a lot of, I don't even know if a lot is the right term, but I got several messages of feedback on her, people disagreeing with where I put her. I think I might have put her a little too low. I think I put her in C tier, if I recall correctly. She's B tier. She's not any better than that. There's too many good mages to just rely on her arcane missiles. Her passive is very selfish, and again, it really only does anything on her arcane missiles. Her ultimate takes 18 hours to go off. Like I'm pretty sure I have seen her start the animation for her ultimate, and then I fell asleep, and I woke up the next morning, got ready for work, and the ultimate finally did damage. So I'm sorry, like you can't get better than B tier on one ability most cases. There are some abilities that are super duper good. Arcane missiles is not one of them. It's just single target damage. And really, from mages, you gotta have AoE damage. There's too many good AoE mages in the game to think a single target mage is any good. Ugrel, Miss Spin to Win. I'm not even having the conversation with you. Like, she's the best warrior in the game. End of story, period. I'm not saying other warriors can't work. I'm not saying you can't build specific comps. I'm not saying you can't make a comp where you need a tankier. I don't know how you get much tankier, but I'm not saying any of that. But I'm just saying she's just that good. All right. Ignis, female Ignis. Yeah. All right, y'all, you ready? Because I'm about to piss a lot of people off. She's my S tier mage. We'll get into everybody else's favorite S tier mages a little bit later on. For me, female Ignis is best mage in the game. Outside of the Lume, which I don't believe are in this tier list. I think this was more of a launch tier list they wanted. So we'll make another tier list later with the Lume in it. I don't know what to tell you. And also, as I told somebody who asked me where the Lume would fit if I updated my tier list, my response to them was they haven't invented the tier yet. So we're still waiting for them to invent the tier, and then we can add Lume to the list. All right. Orc Tank, bad. Dark Elf, Assassin. She's B. I know everybody likes her. And in my last tier list, I ranked her really high. And I did that mostly because she's really easy to get a hold of, which is true. I don't really like the assassin class just in general. I don't think they have much room on the board, at least not in my playstyle. Occasionally, yes. But I think if you're going to play an assassin, there are at least two assassins that are better than her. So she's B tier. All right. Let's see here. Female Trevane. Okay, the Elven Archers. She's S tier for me. Part of it is the accessibility. It's really easy to get her and build her. It's really easy to make her companion mythic, so you have a high level DPS regardless of the random draws of summoning. But really, what it is marksmen are designed to do single target, high bursty damage, and she accomplishes that better than anybody else in the class. So moving on. When you think about the champions in this game, especially the tank class, but I think just in general, when you think the champions in this game and you associate them with dirty dog water, the female Sally Horn is that champion. Sorry, she just is. Female Karg isn't far behind her. Just a bad champion in general. Okay. The female Aeson, the female priest, the healer. You guys, if you've watched my video, then you know I'm not a fan. And now I know maybe I shouldn't be taking this into account because it's not part of our tier list, but I can't not take it into account. Now that we have the male Lume, like, she really does absolutely nothing. So she's D tier. She just really doesn't offer anything. The only thing she offers is her passive, which makes everybody heal more. Okay? But that's also their clan trait, is healing and healing efficiency. So you'd be better off just putting the male priest on the board because he buffs damage. He has a great ultimate, and he can increase the healing through his clan passive. Like, the Lume got released, and the female priest put in an application at McDonald's. All right. This is going to go in conjunction with our female Ignis, pissing everybody off. Fulgur, A tier for me. Okay. Now, the female is not as strong as the male in my mind, for starters. But also, like, I like female Ignis more than Fulgur. I just do. Here's some food for thought. The match starts, Fulgur is stronger. As the match goes on, Ignis is stronger until the very end of the match. Then they're about even. Okay? Think that over. Read through their abilities. If you can't figure it out, come talk to me. Female Doombringer. Okay? I'm going to put her A tier. She's number 2 on my list for warriors. If it wasn't for Miss Spin to win, she would be my S tier warrior. She's good. I just don't think she's as good. And a lot of that just has to do with the AoE. All right. And I got to be careful here because I told you guys my rule was most of them need to end up in B, but maybe my judgment has really gotten the best of me after playing the game. Okay. Hunsdorf, we're going to put in C. I really don't like him. The Badger sucks. It's broken. However, I think they have a place, but not a very good place. So we'll stick with C. I don't even know if there's enough assassins to female Lycanus. She probably belongs in like a F tier. I don't know why I'm putting her in C tier. I feel like in some ways she does some of the D tier champion's job better than her own job. Yeah, she needs a lot of help from the devs if she's gonna be. I can't talk myself into it. I was like, you can see I'm starting to put too many people in D tier, and I gotta rein back on that a little bit. All right, female Griffin, C tier. I'm not a huge fan of the Griffin class. They're just bad, but they're not unusable. Like the ones I have in D tier in my mind are unusable. Like, and look, when I say that, I know people are going to come back at me and go, I use them in my comp. I'm on level 387-12. Like, whatever. If you have the champions that I put in D tier on your board and you're not like in your first week of playing the game, you might like that champion, but I promise you have a champion that does the same job, if not better. Okay. So, all right. Now I'm really gonna upset people. Female Tidestorm. All right, she's B. Like I said, most of these people need to end up in B. She's average. Everybody loves her, and I don't know why. I have tried her. People have told me she's bugged. Maybe that's the problem. She doesn't do anything that great. She just doesn't. She does damage. That's because she's a marksman. That doesn't make her special. She does the blind. You know what? Okay, whatever. If your team is winning because she manages to get a blind off and they're missing damage, then maybe you should rethink your comp so you don't have to take that much damage. I don't know. All right. So next one up is female Lionstone. And a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one as well. She's just B tier. And it has nothing to do with the bug. Again, what she offers is just a buff. Like, she's not a tank. Not in the sense of what I'm talking about. She shields one champion. I have other champions that shield people better. Right? She has the buff, the attack, and the strength buff, which is good, except for it's buggy right now. But even with that, I would still put her in B tier. Unless they get it fixed and then she's just broken, then maybe I have to change that. And then her passive is lame, like takes less damage from ranged, whatever. She's B. You can argue with me if you want to. Male Dark Elf Archer, B tier, average, does his job, does his DPS. I think other people do it as well or better. So like I said, most people, if I do this list right, are going to end up in B tier. So if you get offended by B tier, get over it. Male Luxuriant is D tier. Like, he might be the most unusable champion in the game. Probably not, but he might be. He's the only champion that outside of a bug can hurt you by using them. And I know if you've used them, you've seen it. Your champions are targeting somebody. He banishes them, and so the rest of your team turns and goes and targets somebody else. And now that champion that they were about to kill comes out of banishment, is now behind them, and attacks them. Like, he's the only one that gives your team a disadvantage, it feels like. All right. The male Zace, I'm going to put in B tier. I'm not a huge fan, but I totally identify the potential that his buffs do. You know, part of it is I'm just not comfortable enough with what his kit says it does when I can't see it. I can't see the ward on the back line, so I don't know that it's actually happening. But what if I see the potential in his kit. I just don't ever see a reason to put it on the board. He might have a place with the female Lume now, but he only buffs 2 people, and I think there's enough things that buff the entire team that you don't need to use them. All right. The male orc, what is he? He is the Miss Spindwin's counterpart. I'm gonna put him in C tier. He's a pretty bad warrior, but I don't think he's as unusable as like female Karg. Okay. All right. Male Ignis is B tier. He works good like in unison with the female Ignis, but his ultimate sucks so much worse than hers. Hers hits everybody no matter what. His hits people that are standing in a specific position at the time. But they can work well in unison. Like if you find ways to stack burning on your comp, that can be relatively strong. But he's just an average mage. Like as far as doing damage, like when you think about the other mages that do damage, like you can't put him above them. So he's just average. All right. The male orc tank, because of his taunt, he's a B tier. He was A tier last time I did this list, but I don't even use him anymore. But he's still probably, you know, I think people like the female Lionstone because she gives them more strength, and we live in a damage society. That's why in other games like MMOs and stuff, most people don't want to play the healer or the tank. They want to do all the damage and do the flashy stuff. So that's why people like the female Lionstone, but she is not a good tank. But she is strong with her damage buffs, but she's not a good tank. The male orc is a serviceable tank. He's not top 2, but he's serviceable, so he's average. All right. The male dark elf assassin is going to be A. I like him better than the female. I have come to appreciate the energy stealing that he does. Okay, I think it's more valuable than what the female does. So, and because neither of them really hit the back line with any type of regularity because their kit doesn't allow them to, like it even says in the game description that assassins are designed to attack the back line, and none of them really get to the back line very efficiently. So, but I like his energy steal. The male Trevane, the female is S tier. He's dirty dog water tier. Nah, he's not. He's C tier. He doesn't do enough damage. His ultimate takes 8 years to wind up. Like his ultimate and the female Zace ultimate like go to lunch together. I don't know. It's the longest, most useless thing ever. Again, marksmen are meant to do damage, and there's plenty of marksmen that do it better than him. All right. Male Sally Horn. A tier. He is the second best tank in the game, in my opinion. He's number 2 on my list, and while I will disagree with you, I can't really argue with you if you want to put him at number 1. I was not a fan before, but I pulled a mythic. When did I pull them? I pulled a mythic the very first time they released the class summoning event. I pulled the mythic, so I just started using him. I got a mythic. Let's see if we can make him work. Like that's kind of how I have to approach the things, so I know what videos to make. But he's really strong, really strong. He's A tier. Like he's number 2. And the only reason I'm not putting him number 1 or putting him in S tier is because I try really hard not to put 2 people from the same class in the same tier or in S tier. Like I try to keep it one per class in S tier because I think in my mind S tier should be reserved for the best of the best. There's going to be one exception I can think of in my head. But yeah. All right. Male Karg is C tier. The only reason he's not dirty dog water down with the female Karg is because his kit includes burning, which you can pair together with the Ignis clan. So he's got a little bit more value there. All right, the male priest. You guys are fighting with me right now. I know you're fighting with me right now. All right. I want to put him in B tier, but I'll put him in A tier. He is strong. And as long as they don't change his ultimate like I was told they were planning on doing, I'll give him A tier. He is strong. If they ever change the ultimate to do what the description says, which is only attack one target, he's instant C tier. I don't care. Like, he doesn't. The only thing that keeps him in A tier is the fact that he does damage coupled with his passive. If they nerf his ultimate, he turns into only his passive, and then he's just as useless as the female version of his clan. All right, male Fulgur, A tier. Same reason. To me, the Fulgur clan is not as good as the female Ignis. I'm not going to put him in S tier. I will say, like, the male Fulgur is probably the best of the rest as far as mages. He's A plus tier if we had an A plus tier, but we don't. We have an S tier. That's it. All right, male Doombringer, B tier. He is nowhere near as good as the female Doombringer, and he's just average like everybody else. All right. Huntsdorf, male Huntsdorf. I'm just gonna put him in C tier with his counterpart. Like, they're both like, look, they do the reason that they're in C tier instead of D tier is because they can do damage. You know what? Saying that, this guy needs to come to D tier. I'm sorry. He just doesn't do enough damage, and he doesn't offer anything else. Somebody mentioned his root. I don't care. If you're playing him for the root, like, I got plenty of other champions that stun for whatever it is, 1, 2, 3 seconds, whatever, and do a whole bunch more. He does nothing, not even enough damage. Huntsdorf I can put in C and be comfortable with because they actually do some damage. All right. We're getting to the end. We only got 4 left, and holy cow, is this a long, or is, you guys are lucky. I'm only about 23 minutes in. This is going to end up being probably 15, 20 minutes shorter than my last tier list. Maybe that's because I know the heroes better. I don't know. All right. Male Lycanus. Apparently he has some bugs. I never play him for any of the reasons he has bugs. I'm not going to put him in S tier because I just simply don't think any assassin belongs in S tier. They're not that good. However, he is definitely an A tier because Fear, assuming you can land it, Fear is probably the second strongest CC in the game, in my opinion. I have been on several levels where I was just like, I can't beat this level no matter what I do. And then I go, well, let's try Wolf Boy. And we drop male Lycanus in the middle. He manages to run in and get off of Fear before he dies, because that's all he ever does is die. But as long as he gets his Fear off before he dies, he's did his job. And then he sends the enemy team scattering and gives my DPS several seconds of free time to kill the targets, and we win simply because his Fear. And you know what? Honestly, his Fear is probably the only reason I wouldn't say it's the strongest CC in the game is because it can be difficult to land. Apparently, it has a very small range. They need to increase the range so it hits more. I've seen him be right in the middle of a pile, and he does his little muscle flex thing that's supposed to scare them off, and everybody just kind of laughs at him and kills him. But when the Fear hits, it's one of the strongest in the game. All right. The male Griffin. I'm going to put in B tier. I think his tankiness gives him a slight edge on the female. And honestly, I may just be putting him in B tier because I feel like I need more in B tier. I'm not going to lie. He's bad. And I don't even know if I call it had a conversation. I more like watched the conversation in Discord about somebody's reasoning for really liking the male Griffin. And so I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe I was approaching him wrong. Maybe I was thinking about him wrong. Let's try him here. And he's still just bad. Like, I just can't get it to work. All right. Last 2 here. The male Tidestorm. Drum roll, everybody. If you watched my last tier video, you know where he's going. He's S tier. This is the only... Sorry, I gotta scroll it. This is the only time I'm gonna put two of the same class in S tier, because nobody does single target damage as good as the female Trevane, and nobody gets to the back line like the male Tidestorm. Okay, and except for some of these weird comps they put throughout the campaign, in general, your biggest damage dealers are going to be on that back line, and you can't rely on any assassins in the game to get there, but the male Tidestorm can get there without question. The only problem I have with it is that occasionally he targets the wrong one. Something to do with the range and judging which one is further from him or not, but he has also probably the most unique CC in that, like, nobody else can target a specific spot with as much impact as he can. So S tier for all those reasons. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I had a lot of people disagree with me on my first tier list. I had a lot of people disagree with me with the Tidestorm video, telling me the female is better. She's not. And again, my tier list doesn't have to be your tier list. Your tier list is more than welcome to be wrong. Like, if all you are looking at is the damage output, then you're doing it wrong. Like, the male Tidestorm is not about his damage output. He is about crowd control. And nobody in the game manages crowd control the way that he does. And finally, male Lionheart. Best tank in the game. I've already told you this. I've already told you why in all my other videos, but he has a team-wide shield, so he can absorb damage for everybody. Unlike the male Lionheart, who will only shield one person. So don't give me that stuff that she's better than him. Okay? He is the only one that fills the tank role the way the tank role should be filled. Sally Horn is a very, very nipping on his heels second. The only reason I give Lionstone above male Sally Horn is that Sally Horn doesn't protect the rest of the team. And I had a conversation with somebody, they know who they are, who told me that you don't need to shield a team when you're drawing the aggro from everybody. This is true, but that does not hold true if you're playing the Fulgur or an Ignis or, one of the many others that have a giant AoE attack and don't have to target the dwarf that's directly in front of them. Male Lionstone, far above everybody except for male Sally. Male Sally's right behind him. Male Lionstone, and for me, far and away the best tank in the game. I shouldn't say far. Close to Sally, far away from everybody else. I honestly, in my comp, I play both of them. I do. Sally draws sometimes I need to make adjustments and I need a little more damage, but Sally draws I've always been a 2 tank person, but Sally Horn draws the aggro. Sally Horn is, I'm gonna make a video on Sally Horn and positioning and stuff like that. Like, he's really good for positioning counters. But the Lionstone, and for those of you that, because I just had this conversation today and it's my complaint too, if you play it on auto and he decides to Reinhardt on you and just hide behind his shield, just take it off auto, trigger his ultimate, and then put it back on auto. You'll be fine. But yeah, if he triggers that active and he sits there and waits for it to run out before he'll actually activate the ultimate if you have it running on auto. So take it off of auto and trigger it yourself. Other than that, so that is my tier list. Let's go through this real quick. S tier, we got Miss Spindwin as the S tier warrior. Female Ignis is the S tier mage. I got female Trevane as the S tier Marksman. I got male Tidestorm as the S tier Crowd Control. He's a marksman. But you know what? The assassins are so bad they gave him their spot. And I got the male Lionstone as the S tier tank. We have the Fulgurs, male Lycanus, female Doombringer, male Dark Elf Assassin, male Priest, and male Sallyhorn in A tier. B tier, we have the female Luxuriant, the female Zace, the male Orc Tank. We have the male Doombringer, the female Dark Elf Assassin, female Lionstone, male Zace, female Tidestorm, male Ignis, male Elsdith, male Griffin. In C tier, we have the female Elsdith, the male Karg, the female Griffin, both Huntsdorfs, and the male Orc Warrior. And then the Dirty Dogwater crew. Female Sallyhorn, female Karg, female Orc Tank, male Trevane, female Priest, female Lycanus, and the male Luxuriant. I am positive a lot of you will have arguments for me. Please, please, please leave them in the comments. I try to respond to most of them. I'm happy to have the conversation with you. You can also find me in the Discord, things like that. I try to interact with as many of you as I can. Sometimes I miss you guys and I don't get a response, but I try to respond to everybody. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know where I was wrong, where I was right. If you like this video, please take 1 second. It's literally 1 second, one button click out of your day and tap the like button. Subscribe. Tell a friend. I'm Belligerent. Peace.